all. It is good to see you as always. I appreciate. We have two new faces in the group today. I am delighted to welcome Dina Berlin to our board. I am just trying to see her picture, and I'm not seeing it, but welcome. We are happy to have you among us, and I'll leave the other introduction to James, because we have a new officer of the company as well. But let us begin with the introductions and the roll call. Marcin, this is Charlie Klippel.
Okay, before we do that, Mr. Chair, I will just say that this meeting is being recorded for the minute-taking purposes, as well as posting of the recording of the proceedings on the agency's website. This meeting is also being live streamed on the Access Health CT website. Roll call for attendance. Charles Klippel, Chair.
Here, thank you.
Paul Philpott, Vice Chair.
Here.
Grant Ritter.
Here.
Deidre Gifford.
Here.
Steven Hernandez. Matthew Brackman.
Here.
Thank you. Thomas McNeil. Dina Berlin.
Here.
Thank you. Peter Haller from DSS, designate for Commissioner Andrea Barton-Reeves.
Here.
Thank you. Sean King from OHA.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning. Paul Lombardo from SID.
Here.
Claudio Gualtieri from OPM. Manisha Ajutani, DPH Commissioner. Caroline Zambetti, designate for Nancy Navarrete, DMS Commissioner.
Good morning here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jutani. Appreciate it.
Before we go on, Ms. Berlin, I think you're pretty well known to the people on this board and vice versa, but if you'd like to say a few words, please do.
I'm happy to be here. I know the board has a lot of impact on the residents of the state and their ability to access quality health care, and I look forward to being part of the effort.
Thank you. And again, we look forward to having you being part of that effort, so thank you very much. If we could ask for the officers of the company to introduce themselves, please.
Good morning, James Michelle, Access Health Connecticut.
Gina Walsh, Director of Operations, Access Health Connecticut.
Holly Zwick, Director of Finance, Access Health Connecticut.
Rebecca McClear, Director of Technical Operations and Analytics, Access Health Connecticut.
Susan Richby, Director of Legal and Governmental Affairs, Access Health Connecticut.
Caroline Ruette, Director of Marketing, Access Health CT.
Good morning, everyone. Glenn Jurgen, Director of Human Resources with Access Health Connecticut.
Good morning, Tammy Hendricks, Director of Health Equity and Outreach, Access Health Connecticut.
Good morning, Janelle Maloney, Director of Information Technology, Access Health Connecticut.
Mr. Chairman, this concludes our introduction of the offices of the organization.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I understand we have no public comment. I'll just check that, but I think that's correct.
That is correct, Mr. Chair. We have received no public comment.
Thank you. So our next agenda item is to swear in our new board member. And for that, I will give the floor to Susan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Dina, if you will please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that you will faithfully discharge, according to law, your duties as a member of the Board of Directors of Access Health Connecticut to the best of your abilities, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury.
I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We now would ask for any comments or corrections to the minutes of the last meeting. And hearing none, I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
So the motion before us to approve the October 19th, 2023 regular meeting minutes.
Yes, please.
So moved. This is Grant.
Thanks, Grant.
Seconded, Gifford.
Thanks. So this is Charlie Klippel. Yes.
Thank you. Paul Philpott,
Yes.
Ron Ritter,
Yes.
Deidre Gifford,
Yes.
Steve Hernandez, Matthew Brackman, Mr. Brackman, Thomas McNeil, Dina Berlin,
I wasn't here for the meeting, so I would not choose to vote, right?
abstain, right? Ms. Berlin?
Yeah.
Thank you. Peter
Yes.
Hadler,
Yes.
Mr. Hernandez just joining us. Sean King,
Yes.
thank you. Claudio Galtieri. Mr. Hernandez just joined us. We are voting on the minutes of October 19, 2023. How do you wish to cast?
Thank
cast
you,
your vote?
Marcin. Please count me as voting yes.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
And then Susan, I'm going to give thank you all. Susan, I'm going to give the floor back to you for some committee appointments.
Thank you. The bylaws for Access Health Connecticut provide that the board votes to either add or remove members of the standing board committees and the advisory committees. So today, we would like to ask the board to consider appointing Sean King to the Human Resources and Strategy Committees, which are standing committees, and also to appoint Thomas McNeil to the Audit Committee, which is another standing committee, as we've had some vacancies as some board members have stepped off. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Any discussion of these appointments?
So,
If
Mr. Chair,
not, then
would you like me to read out the whole motion?
yeah, that's fine if you would.
Okay. Chair Charles Clipper requests a motion to appoint Sean King to the Human Resources and Strategy Committees and to appoint Thomas McNeil to the Audit Committee.
This
Um,
is
Paul, so moved.
Thank you.
Seconded, Grant.
Thanks, Grant.
Is there a discussion?
Discussion?
Mhm.
Hearing none. Charlie Klippel, yes.
Thank you. Paul Philpott,
Yes.
Ron Ritter,
Yes.
Deidre Gifford,
Yes.
Steve Hernandez,
I vote yes.
Matthew Brackman, Thomas McNeil, Dina Berlin,
Yes.
Peter Hadler,
Yes.
Sean King,
Yes.
and Claudio Galtieri. Thank you.
Thanks all. James, the floor is yours for a CEO report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a very brief report this morning. Good morning, all. I'm James Michel, the CEO of Access Health Connecticut, and thank you for being here today for our November board meeting. And I want to start by welcoming Dina Burrell, appointed by Senator Looney to replace Cece Wood. So Dina, welcome. We look forward to your engagement with our board and also with the staff. And also, I would like to introduce and welcome our new Director of Finance, Holly Zwick, who has joined us today. Holly comes to us with an impressive amount of financial experience in senior leadership roles. We are very pleased that she has chosen to work with us at Access Health Connecticut. And also, I want to share that we have completed the fiscal year 2023 financial and programmatic audits with our independent financial audit firm, CLA. You will hear more about that, about both reports later in the meeting from Susan Rich-By. We began our open enrollment period on November 1st, and we are off to a very strong start in terms of enrollment. We are addressing some challenges with our call center that came to light recently to ensure that our customers are getting the best help they need as timely as possible. And finally, our next board meeting will be in 2024. So I would like to take this opportunity to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and also a great holiday season. With respect to our meeting today, very quickly, we will begin with an update on our open enrollment from Katie Hearn for the first 2 weeks of open enrollment. Katie is our Associate Director of the Enterprise Project Management Office. Then Caroline Rouette, our Director of Marketing, will give a status report on the communication to our customers, and also the leaver survey that we are about to start. As a reminder, we are conducting this survey of our customers affected by Medicaid unwind who have not enrolled in health insurance through Access Health. It is important that we find out why they have not enrolled to make sure they aren't falling through the cracks. We are reaching out to them through email and phone to complete the survey. We hope to have results for you as early as possible in the new year. Following that, Holly Zwick will give a financial update, including the fiscal year 2023 year-end budget report and the first quarter budget report for the current fiscal year. These reports were presented to the Finance Committee last week. And we'll close with Susan reporting on the two audits that were conducted, completed, and presented to the audit committee last week as well. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. This concludes my brief report to the board.
James, thank you very much. If there are no questions to you, and I'll stop for a moment to ask for those, we'll move on to the open enrollment report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Let's do it. Did Marcin, maybe if you could advance to slide 1, we'll ask for Katie to give an open enrollment update. Thank you.
Good morning, Katie Hearn, Associate Director of the Enterprise Project Management Office, or the EPMO at Access Health Connecticut. I wanted to give you a brief open enrollment update this morning. We're about 2 weeks into our open enrollment period. We are going to have our auto renewal run the week of November 26th for both qualified health plan enrollments and standalone dental enrollments. We projected that about 80% of households will auto renew, which is great, into both qualified health plans and standalone dental plans for the 2024 policy year. The new public enrollment dashboard is live on the Access Health Connecticut website for the first time. The enrollment data for 2023 is posted currently, and we will have 2024 plan year data available before the end of this month. So you can check that out. And I'd like to give you some of our enrollment data as of November 15th, year over year. So this is the period from November 1st to November 15th last year, and the same period this year. You can see that for our acquired customers, we have, interestingly, the same number as of November 15th. You can see an increase in our retained customers. We have increases in our QHP enrollments with advanced premium tax credits, financial assistance with both advanced premium tax credits and cost sharing reductions are up. And then we're just a little below the same period last year with full cost qualified health plans. Next slide, please. And some additional enrollment data here. Qualified health plans overall, we see a significant increase. We see a very significant increase in our Covered Connecticut enrollment numbers as well. We did expect to see Husky numbers go down a bit due to the unwind, and that is what we see so far. And we do see also a significant increase in our standalone dental plan enrollments this year. And I just wanted to, we expect with auto renewals running the week after next, we expect great retention this year for our dental plan enrollees as well as our qualified health plan customers. And just as a general reminder, I wanted to remind the public, open enrollment is ongoing through January 15th. Thank you.
Thank you. Caroline, did you have a comment or are we going to move to the next? Oh, here, yes, please.
My apologies. I had some issues with my computer, but we're up and running. My name is Caroline Lee Rouette. I'm the Director of Marketing, and I'm going to first provide an update on some of the direct-to-consumer marketing efforts that we're doing during open enrollment. The first audience that we reach out to is about cost sharing reductions for eligible customers. So this is something that we've talked about with the board quite a bit over the last couple of years. So this is a really important audience we're reaching out to. These are folks that might be leaving money on the table if they don't select a silver level plan. So as a reminder, Access Health CT is the only place where folks can come and get financial help, and that comes in the form of the advanced premium tax credit, which is that monthly piece of financial help that helps cover the cost of the premium. But there's also the cost sharing reductions, and that's what customers can use to help decrease the cost of care when they see a doctor or maybe fill a prescription plan, and those are only in our silver level plans, those cost sharing reductions. So some customers who are eligible for these buy up to a gold plan or down to a bronze plan, they're potentially leaving that financial help on the table. So if we're noticing that there are people who are filling out their application and would be eligible for this, and they're choosing a different plan and leaving that money on the table, we're reaching out to them to let them know that they may have a better option if they choose that silver level plan. And we're going to do that outreach before the December 15th deadline so that they can have that silver level plan for the entire year with coverage starting January 1st. Our second special audience are customers that may be impacted by the family glitch. You might remember last year, this was something that was fixed in the law. The law changed. And basically before the law change, anybody who had coverage through their employer, but they thought it was unaffordable, could come to the exchange and see if this could be a better option for them, but only they might be eligible for financial help. It left their family uncovered by that financial help. And so oftentimes it left these people in a pretty bad situation. The law changed, so now if they are eligible for financial help, the whole family could become covered by that financial help. And so we're wanting to reach back out to folks who may have come into our application and not pulled the trigger to get coverage, and make sure that they're aware of this change in the law that might be beneficial for them. This is something that we did last year. We were actually able to update our system in time for open enrollment. Not every exchange was able to do that. And so while we were in a better position than a lot of the exchanges, there might be some people that still haven't come back, and this could be a good option for them. So we're going back 3 years in our data to reach back out to this population and let them know that there could be some great options for them again this year. And then the last special audience we want to bring to your attention are customers that might be impacted by plan changes, discontinued plans or changes to the network. And that last point about any customers that might be auto-enrolled or kind of scheduled for that auto renewal for plans that have a change in network, we really want to be reaching out to them to let them know that their networks may be impacted. So if they have a preferred provider, they really need to check their plan and make sure that they can continue to see that provider and they'll be covered by that provider within their plan. All right, we can move on now. Thank you, Marcia. All right, so now I'm going to move on to the lever.
Before you move on to the lever survey.
Sure, please.
I want to just, the one number that jumps out at me at this last presentation is the dramatic increase in the Cover Connecticut population. And I credit to you and to Katie and to the whole team, because that was really a marketing effort. It was such an important program, but credit to all of you for putting the effort into getting the word out. I think we're now really seeing the power of that program. So thank you for that.
Wonderful, thank you.
All right, I interrupted you. Please move on to the lever survey.
Thank you, no, I appreciate that. And so now we're going to talk a little bit about a lever survey. And so this is something that had been done in the past, and we're recreating that now, particularly as the unwinding population is starting to be impacted. We really want to understand why anybody impacted by Medicaid unwinding is not choosing to be covered if they are no longer eligible for Medicaid, or if they're eligible for a qualified health plan. We want to understand why they may not be electing that coverage option. So lever surveys are designed to understand why customers are leaving any kind of program, and that's what we're conducting here. In terms of the goals, the first is understanding, like I said, why Medicaid unwinding audience, this audience is not electing coverage. The secondary goal is understanding if and how they might be covered by another source. You know, we have a lot of assumptions right now. Maybe folks who were part of the unwinding process now have a coverage option through an employer. So we really want to make sure that we are understanding the reality, not just our assumptions. The third here is understanding key decision-making and demographic data about this population. So we're going to explore awareness of the unwinding process and how communications were received, really how they became aware of this. Awareness of the Medicaid, Husky Chip, and or Access Health CT as coverage options, just to make sure that they know what's available to them. We also want to explore attitudes towards the importance of being covered. Obviously, we would really want that attitude to be, this is an important thing for them, but we really want to understand from their perspective. We also want to understand what is the most important factor when considering coverage. We think we know, let's find out. Their appetite for cost and other barriers to being covered. This is a really important one, right? People are coming off Medicaid where it's been available at no cost to them in terms of coverage. We really want to understand what their appetite for cost is, especially if they're no longer eligible for that Medicaid program. We want to understand their future plans for being covered. Maybe they just haven't gotten to it yet, and they're going to explore that during an open enrollment cycle. We want to understand their employment status, as well as personal and household demographics, such as age, race, household makeup, and all of that information. And the big reason for that is to really explore, whether or not there's differences in the data that we can start to make some correlations about in terms of what they're self-aware of, but also what the data is telling us. Next slide, please. In terms of what we're hoping to achieve here, we're looking for about 1,000 responses, and we are conducting this survey in English and Spanish. The format of the survey is mostly digital. Okay, so we're sending this out via email invitations, and we're going to use phone solicitation if needed. So if we're not getting the volume of responses that we need, we do have the capacity to use the phones, and that is in English and Spanish as well. We're also doing open and closed responses, meaning people have the opportunity to answer in sentence format in their own words, but also yes, no questions. And so we have a plethora of different kinds of data that's going to be available to us once this has concluded. And we are offering an incentive in the form of a $10 e-gift card for completed responses. That is optional, and we're going to deliver that via email. We have a research partner that we're working with, Market Street Research. They have many, many years of experience, as well as several PhD employees that have education and backgrounds in market research, as well as psychology, which is really helpful. So we're leaning on their expertise in terms of survey length, how we structure the questions, how we get it out, the time frame, timeline, and all of that. And then lastly, we do have a grant that's helping us, and that is provided by the Connecticut Health Foundation for this project. Next slide, please. Now, this is a project chart, a Gantt chart that has a basic timeline. I do want to mention that, we've kicked off. We've done several kind of nudges via email. We will continue to do that. We'll do phone follow-up, like I mentioned, if needed. And then we're hoping to review the survey results towards the end of December, and then have the results be able to be shared with everybody here sometime during the winter. Of course, we are dependent on whether or not we're getting the response rate that we need. So it could be a couple extra weeks just in terms of getting the total response rate that we need to complete the scope of the project. And I will pause for questions. It looks like we have some.
Are there questions, Matthew? I don't know if you had a question or not.
I do. Just a quick. What is maybe Peter, you could help me a little bit. My sense was that when we were looking at this question of who was not going from the unwind to cover Connecticut or others, the biggest issue was that we just don't have good contact information for these people anymore, because they probably have been on Husky for 4 years. So how many people are really in this group that we have their contact information? We've texted them 15 times and they still don't respond, but now they respond to the survey. Like, that seems like an odd, like, what is our actual population to pull from? Like, if we could get these data, that would be amazing. I'm just curious, who are these people?
So, Peter, did you want to reply? Because I know your name was, okay.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I think it's a great question, Matthew. I don't think we know the answers to that question per se, right? We've done a lot of work to update contact information. We've used new data sources to ensure that we're contacting people through the best information we have available. And obviously, we've had a campaign to have people update their contact information. But it's an open-ended question, which I think we'd love to, hopefully this survey will help get at. I think we hypothesize that some people are making an uninformed or partially informed decision not to renew coverage, and we would like to know and understand that better, right? Is it because they think they don't qualify anymore, or perhaps they do have that employer-sponsored coverage and they're happy with that? And we do recognize that some of these folks have been enrolled for several years without having had a contact or updated information. So situations may have changed, but we are hypothesizing. So I think the survey will be very helpful to, give some reality and maybe, flesh out some of the things we've been thinking about, or give us new information that maybe we hadn't contemplated.
No, I think it'll be interesting. I do worry about whether or not the results are the validity of. I think it's going to be very interesting. I want to see the study. I don't want to say that, but I do worry that the results are going to be skewed because of it's going to be a weird group of people who suddenly, after ignoring us 15 times, are saying, I'm going to respond to the survey for a $10 gift card. Seems like a unique person. And I wonder to what extent they're representative of the overall sample that we're looking for. But that I think it'll be interesting regardless.
Matt, I think that the research company that we've working with, they do have they do have a lot of experts who hopefully will account for the odd responses and so forth. But again, we have an open mind, so we're going to see what comes back. Then we'll present it to the board sometime in early winter.
It is a fascinating question. I could see.
Yeah.
We'll see what we get. Right. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if we're not paying for it, it's even better. So.
You're right. The entire course has been supported by the grant.
It's hopefully it will yield some insights, and even if they're just qualitative insights, it'll be interesting to hear.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions about either the Leave Your Survey or the open enrollment? If not, then Holly, I think we're throwing you right into the mix on your first meeting.
Okay, sounds good. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Holly Zwick, Director of Finance, Access Health Connecticut. Today, I'll be speaking about the fiscal year 23 budget, as well as the fiscal year Q1 24 budget. Next slide, please. Thank you. As you can see, we finished fiscal year 2023 approximately $856,000 under budget. Next slide, please. Our revenue was higher mainly due to receiving an additional $25,000 in grants, and the interest rate held steady in fiscal year 23. On the expense side, we ended fiscal year 23 under budget due to vacancy savings in salaries and fringe benefits. We also saved contractually by sending fewer notices and continued pandemic measures. There was also a substantial savings on system maintenance and administrative expenses due to remote work and the timing of insurance renewals. We were over budget with IT enhancement projects, including the governance risk and compliance system. Next slide, please. There were carry forward projects, from fiscal year 23 to 24. So a few projects that were started in fiscal year 23, but will not be completed until 24. As you can see, they are all IT related and in many respects mandatory due to Medicaid unwind and an anticipated increase in OE numbers. Next slide, please. Talk about the investment report now. We have always provided the Finance Committee and the board with information on the balance of the exchange's reserve funds, where they are invested and the interest earned. The exchange's investment policy, adopted by the board back in 2012, provides us, the exchange makes annual and semi-annual reports to the board on its investments. In compliance with that requirement, we have created a new investment report and will be presenting the first annual investment report today for 22 and 23, I apologize. Our objective here is to invest in secure investment vehicles while maximizing returns and providing immediate liquidity. We invest in the State Treasurer's Investment Fund, also known as STIF, which is managed by the State Treasurer. STIF is available to state agencies, municipalities, and public authorities. Next slide, please. As I mentioned on the previous slide, we invest our reserves in what we call STIF. We ended fiscal year 23 with a STIF balance of close to $900,000 due to an increase in interest rates over the past 12 months. In addition to the short-term investment fund, Access Health contributes towards employee retirement plans or 401As. and those funds are invested through Mission Square, which provides retirement plans and related services for more than 1 million public sector participant accounts. It's important to note that Access Health CT, our investment portfolio, is in compliance with our investment policy, and we are able to meet our expenditure requirements for the next approximately 7 months. Next slide, please. I'll talk now about our fiscal year 24 budget, Q1. Our fiscal year 24 budget overall is focused on 3 strategic initiatives: IT investment, cybersecurity, and health disparities. Next slide, please. The fiscal year 24 Q1 budget is higher than projected at this point due to the timing of expenses and invoices. Next slide, please. This slide shows the totals from the previous slide broken down into individual line items, revenue, and expense accounts as listed on the income statement. As you can see, our revenue variance for Q1 is favorable by approximately $124,000 due to the interest rate and the performance of the STIF account. Expenses are a bit higher than projected, but only due to timing, as I mentioned earlier. For example, we may start a project earlier, or a vendor may move ahead faster on a project, which is always good for efficiency reasons. Next slide, please. We do not anticipate any changes to our overall full year fiscal 24 budget. And if there are any changes, we will come back to the Finance Committee and the board for approvals. Next slide, please. This slide shows the full year 24 budget after Q1, again showing no anticipation of any changes. Next slide, please. We also, there's also no anticipation of any changes to our fiscal year 24 shared costs with the Department of Social Services. And again, if there are, we will come back to the Finance Committee and the board. As you can see from the slide, the total budgeted amount here is just under $20.5 million. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Thanks for the very thorough report. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We are at this point looking for a vote to approve the fiscal year 2024 Q1 budget. Is there any discussion with respect to that? If not, then can I have a motion to accept the budget as presented?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank
Grant.
you. Thanks, Grant. With no further discussion, Charlie Klippel, yes.
Thank you. Paul Philpott,
Yes.
Ron Rader,
Yes.
Deidre Gifford, Dr. Gifford, Stephen Hernandez,
Great work, yes.
you, Matthew Brackman,
Yes.
Thomas McNeil, Dina Berlin,
Yes.
thank you, Peter Hadler,
Yes.
Sean King,
Yes.
and Claudio Gualtieri. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Martin, it's Deidre Gifford. I vote yes. Sorry, I was on mute there.
Thank you, Dr. Gifford. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Oh, finally, I'd like to speak about our fiscal year 24 projected reserve fund balance, which is projected at roughly $18.5 million, which translates to 6.6 months of operational funding. Are there any questions? That concludes my presentation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. I know this question of reserves is one we've touched on before, and James, I think you're going to bring it back in a future meeting. So, but this is a helpful sort of milestone to look at. Appreciate that. Susan, I think this is your meeting this time. It's interesting, but please.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you. Access Health Connecticut is required to engage an independent auditor each year to conduct financial audit and a programmatic audit to comply with state and federal oversight and program integrity requirements. Clifton Larson Allen, CLNA, has been engaged by Access Health to serve this function currently, and they're with us here today on this meeting. CLNA completed the financial statements for Access Health for FY23 and also the programmatic audit also for FY23 that is required by the ACA regulations for us as a state-based marketplace. These draft reports were presented to the audit committee last week on November 8th, and the committee voted to recommend approval for both reports by the board, and you've received copies of them in advance of today's meeting. For both of the reports, CLNA was engaged to express an opinion as to whether the basic financial statements are presented fairly in accordance with GAAP, government accounting principles, to report on internal controls over financial statements and compliance with laws, regulations, and contracts and grant agreements, and also to report on compliance with the programmatic requirements set forth by CMS in Part 155 of the U.S. Code, which is our ACA requirement. CLNA issued an unmodified opinion on the basic financial statements for FY23 and did not note any internal control findings. No compliance findings were issued for the programmatic report either. Nicoletta McTighe of CLNA is here with us today if anyone has any questions on these two reports. So I will pause.
Any questions? It's great to have two such clean audit reports. That's fantastic. We appreciate the efforts of our auditors, but also certainly the efforts of the management team that got us here. That's fantastic. At this point, we need to vote to accept these two reports. Marcin, I'm going to let you frame these two votes, and then we'll go from there.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Chair Charles Klippel requests a motion to approve the fiscal year 2023 AHCT audited financial statements as presented. Is there a motion?
Paul, so moved.
Second, Matthew.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, Charles Klippel, yes.
Thank you. Paul Philpott,
Yes.
Ron Ritter,
Yes.
E.J. Gifford,
Yes.
Steve Hernandez,
Yes.
Matthew Brackman,
Yes.
Thomas McNeil, Dina Berlin,
Yes.
thank you, Peter Hadler,
Yes.
Sean King,
Yes.
and Claudia Gaultier. Thank you.
Second vote, Marcin?
Yes, Chair Charles Klippel requests a motion to approve the fiscal year 2023 programmatic audit report as presented. Is there a motion?
Matthew, I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
Good.
Second?
Seconded. This is Grant.
Thanks, Grant. Charles, no discussion? If none, Charles Klippel, yes.
Thank you. Paul Philpott,
Yes.
Ron Ritter,
Yes.
E.J. Gifford, Dr. Gifford, Steve Hernandez,
Yes.
thank you, Matthew Brackman,
Yes.
Thomas McNeil, Dina Berlin,
Yes.
Peter Hadler,
Yes.
Sean King,
Yes.
Claudia Gaultier. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thanks for leading the votes there, Marcin. Susan, a last word about the SMART tool?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The ACA requires state-based marketplaces to keep accurate accounting of all activities, receipts, and expenditures, and to monitor and report on this to HHS on our activities as an exchange, and also to complete an annual report and engage an independent auditor to perform annual independent financial and programmatic audits, as we just spoke about, to ensure our compliance with regulations and standards. CMS developed an online annual reporting tool for exchanges to use to put everything into one place, and it's called the SMART, State-Based Marketplace Annual Reporting Tool. The SMART includes eligibility and enrollment policy, a report by the state exchange on its ability to collect and submit standardized performance monitoring data related to QHPs and financial assistance determinations, enrollment, disenrollment, and special enrollment periods, the financial and programmatic audits we just spoke about, program integrity, and finally, it's completed with an attestation of completion. So for this year, Access Health filed its SMART for plan year 2022 on June 1st. It's done on a calendar basis. And on September 29th, CMS issued its SMART summary of observations and action items for Access Health Connecticut. CMS did not identify any action items for this SMART filing. Turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. No, again, it's great to see clean audits. That's terrific news. Appreciate it very much. James, I think, do you want to do a little bit of a preview of what's coming?
Mr. Chairman, the future items we have coming up, we are working on some technology projects that we will be reporting to the board in the future. But most importantly right now is the leaver survey and also results of open enrollment. And those are more immediate items that we'll be reporting to the board on over the next several meetings. Thank you.
Yeah, terrific. Thank you very much. Well, we are doing a record thing here, which is giving you back 15 minutes of your life, and I'm delighted by that. It's a very efficient meeting, mostly because we had such great reports from the organization. So thank you all for that. Let me add my best wishes for the holidays to everybody. Last year, a few of you made some suggestions about ways we could improve these meetings, and I welcome you to do that again if you wish. You have my contacts, and please let me know. But otherwise, thank you all very much for your support. As always, so much appreciated, and happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you.
With that, unless there are any comments or closing comments or questions, I would ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved. This is Grant.
Thanks, Grant. Second.
Second, Steve Hernandez.
Thank you, Stephen. With no discussion, Charles Klippel, yes.
Thank you, Paul Philpott,
Yes.
Ron Ritter,
Yes.
Steve Hernandez,
Yes.
Deidre Gifford, Matthew Brackman,
Yes.
Thomas McNeil, Dina Berlin,
Yes.
Peter Hadler,
Yes.
Sean King,
Yes.
and Claudio Beltieri. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. See you in the
Thank you
new
all.
year.
Thank you.
Bye, folks.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye, everybody.